Bihar BJP Vice President has made a shameful and disgusting remark against grieving CPM General Secretary Sitharam Yechury, saying Chinese supporter's son dies from Chinese corona. This is the level that this Bihar BJP Neta has fallen so as to make a remark of this nature, a completely disgraceful one, at an hour where the CPM leader is grieving over the death of his son. Vinay Tiwari, managing editor of Mirror, now joining me on the phone line. Vinay, I mean, one cannot understand how such a comment can be made on the death of Sitharam Yechury's son.
If there was enough example of how low our politicians have sunk in the current crisis, this is probably touching a historic low. Something that it sounds so unbelievable that a man who's holding a responsible post in a very responsible party publicly says something for a human person who's just lost his son due to COVID. And remember, this is the time when the entire country, not just Mr. Yechury or his family, but hundreds and thousands of families across India are going through extreme misery and pain and even grief with the kind of mayhem that we are seeing in state after state. At a time like that, a person who's occupying a key position in his own party, he's the vice president of the party's Bihar unit, to say something like this probably shows up the most degraded mindset that you can ever imagine. And I really believe that once this particular thing has come to notice, I mean, I know that he has now deleted that tweet, but the fact is that now that this has been noticed, I hope that the Bharatiya Janata Party actually dissociates themselves and actually remove somebody like this from the party, because clearly this is not the kind of person who should be in public life in any form. Because if this is your mindset, you're probably not even a human being.
Yes, because, and that too in the hour of grief, in the immediate hour of grief, for anybody to say something like this. I mean, we have seen, Vinay, that across party lines, at least when it comes to, a death of a near and dear person, usually people extend their sympathies. I mean, this is unheard of. And also, like you said, it's one thing to politicize, but this is, like you said, outright inhuman, isn't it?
As culture across states, even an enemy at the time of somebody's grief goes there to pay their respects. That's the way India has always been. In legendary tales of India, even mafia leaders who, have killing each other's members when somebody passes away in each other's family or whatever, sometimes even they've asked respects to each other. So the fact is, there is a culture in India where even if you are somebody's enemy and you absolutely can't stand the other person, if that person is undergoing grief or has lost somebody close to them, you go and offer respects. Or the least you do is at least to not say anything insensitive, because that's the time the person is going through, which is very difficult. This is not something that is just being a bad human being. This is just uncultured. This is not the Indian culture. This is not what they keep referring to as Bharatiya Sanskriti and Sabhyata. In Bharatiya Sanskriti and Sabhyata, in the time of somebody's grief, you either offer condolences, but if you find difficult to do that, you just keep quiet. You do not make a public, and remember, this comment has been put on a social media platform. He is followed and watched by many people, and to make something like this public is completely not something that is expected from a responsible and a senior politician who also occupies a senior and responsible post.
Yes, the news of Sitharam Yechury's 35-year-old son passing away actually came out early this morning, and Mr. Yechury put out a tweet sharing that news. Absolutely heartbreaking that a young person, a young citizen of this country was lost to the virus. Rather than expressing any sort of condolence towards the leader, this was the comment that came in from BJP Vice President in Bihar. Thanks for joining us, Vinay, with your perspectives on this.